Not my height.
This is not your height. It's not my height.
Good morning. Thank you all for who are able to brave the weather this morning. I am Rachel, not Jean Barnes. We welcome everyone to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Wayne County. We are a diverse congregation that welcomes you as you are, regardless of your age, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, economic status, or physical ability. We come together to seek deeper meaning and understanding from each other and the world around us. Your presence here today is a gift that brings us closer to that understanding. We are an active community that lives its values beyond the hours of Sunday service, and I would like to call your attention to the following. Join the UUFWC Humanist today at 11:30 in the large group room to hear Maddie Noble present Reflections on Charles Follis. This presentation will be followed by questions and a discussion. On Saturday, February 22nd, from 10 to 2 p.m., 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Reverend Walter will be leading a membership introduction class. This class is for people who are interested in becoming a member of the congregation and is most appropriate for those who have been participating in our congregation for a year or more. We will discuss what it means to be a member of the UUFWC in regards to theology, community, and responsibility. Lunch will be provided. Please let Karen know if you'd like to join us and if you need childcare. It's meet and greet time. Mark your calendars for Saturday, March 15th. This is a favorite annual event for members and friends over 18 years old. The sanctuary is set up with small tables and everyone rotates around 3 times to assign seats at timed intervals. Talking points are supplied to stimulate conversation. Please bring a beverage and/or snack to share with others. Sign up is available in the lobby and required by Sunday, March 9th. Childcare will be provided. Questions? Ask a member of the membership committee. If you would like to find out more about our activities, feel free to ask Karen Skubik, our membership coordinator.
Thank you, Rachel, and good to see you all here. Those of you who did brave the elements, I see there's still some pink and red out here for some of you might still be celebrating Valentine's, but I happen to think that Valentine's Day is just one day a year. But thanks to our UUA adopting our new values, love is 365 days a year with the Unitarian Universalists. Yay, yeah. So, I know I feel the love when I come in here, and I hope most of you do too. I hope all of you do. And if you don't, and you want to get more involved with ways to feel that love, give your love, please talk to me after the service and we can talk about that. Thank you.
What's the best way to make sure there's low attendance? Have a snowstorm on Stewardship Sunday. 9 o'clock in the morning would be good too. We're kicking off our stewardship campaign. So today you will be getting what the UU ministers like to call the Sermon on the Amount. And we have a wonderful stewardship team that has worked really hard to engage the congregation and to get some energy into the campaign. And starting off, lifting our podium another 2 feet off the ground to compensate for his height, Scott Armstrong.
This thing's cool. I got to do this more often.
Yes.
Well, good morning, brave souls. Thanks for coming out today. Today is Stewardship Sunday, as we talked about. We're kicking off our 2025 campaign. So I'm Scott Armstrong. I'm on the Stewardship Committee. Other members include Tony Beery, who's out of town. Connie Stork, please stand up. Nancy Hurt, please stand up. Mike Peterson, please stand up. We're looking for some other souls. It's a lot of fun to join, so consider joining, please. So I want to say thanks for everyone's support in previous years. We've had great turnout, and we look forward to the same thing this year. So this year, our theme is, what do we treasure about the UUFWC? So what do you treasure and love about this place? And first off, I have a test. Don't worry, it's not graded. If you're right-handed, raise your hand. Okay, pretty easy. If you're left-handed, raise your hand. All right, not everybody raised their hand. Huh. If you were born on a day of the week that ends in Y, raise your hand. All right, everybody raise their hand. Congratulations. Now you're part of stewardship. Way to go. Yes, we've got a stewardship committee that's in charge of the mechanics and the paperwork and all that boring stuff. However, we're all in charge of supporting our beloved and treasured UUFWC. So stewardship means taking care of what we treasure: our children, spirituality, programs, facility, worship, community, and each other. And we ask each member and friend to make a financial commitment to keep the UUFWC and our ministries and programs growing and thriving. The campaign runs through the end of March. Each week we'll have a different member share what they treasure and love about the UUFWC. Personally, I appreciate spending time with like-minded people who have the same values as I do, especially in these times, right? It's great to see that kind of support and help. That's what I treasure about this place. So there are going to be numerous ways to pledge this year. First off, you can pledge online. We changed the website, so if you go to the website under the support tab, you can pledge, and please do that soon. An email is going to go out later today with links and more information as well. You can pledge in person. The Stew Crew is going to have a table out in the lobby. We're going to set up there where you can pledge in person. There's paper forms, and we'll have a laptop set up to pledge online. Plus, if you do it soon, you can get great swag like this medallion. You saw the tree out there. And thank you, Janice, for being the first to pledge this morning. Fantastic. Lastly, you'll be able to pledge via USPS, if that's still a thing, aka snail mail. So see me or one of the stewardship members if you want a paper pledge form. So if you're like me and Janice, if you want to, I want to get things out of the way as soon as they hit my plate here. So please pledge today. Think about pledging this week. Consider giving more. And if we all pledge this week, then we can basically blow off the rest of stewardship campaign and laugh and sing and have fun. So thank you, everybody.
If I don't put this back now. All right. Let's see, what's a good... There we go. I am so sorry, but when you bring up treasure, you're going to make me geek out over all of the medieval fantasy stuff. So we're going to be talking about dragons today. You already saw what the worship was about on the screen.
It's called Knights and Dragons.
Knights and Dragons. Heroes, dragons, and treasure. Heroes, dragons, and treasure. Because what is treasure, Hawthorne?
Gold.
Gold. Anything else? Rubies, emeralds.
Cards.
What? Pokemon cards. Yes. Treasure is things we like. Treasure is things that we want. And there's a lot we want right now for this world. And there's a lot we need to treasure. And we're going to be talking about that and all the treasures that this congregation has to offer. Real quick, Chris, how many people are watching online right now? 5, 20, 1,000? What? 24. We need to not only wave, but here's what I want to say to all of you watching live at home. Thank you for taking care of yourself and not risking the drive. Thank you for engaging the community in your pajamas. I wish I was with you in that state. In state of mind, not in physical proximity, but we are in the same state as most of them. There might be some watching from Illinois or Pennsylvania, but this is what our community is about, engaging on all the levels. and making the time and making sure people can engage in the ways they want. Kelly, can you tell us a little bit about why we have paper plates? Are we getting cupcakes?
Oh, gosh, thanks for setting me up for failure there. No cupcakes. So I passed these out today so that you would have sort of a hard yet pretty surface to write or draw something that you treasure about the UUFWC. You can put your name or you don't have to, it doesn't matter either way. But something, or maybe a list of a few things that you treasure about our fellowship and our community. I just wanted to tell you that I would love it if you wrote on the pretty colorful side, because we might do something with these later. But if your pen is not cooperating, you can warm it up on the white side, scribble a little bit, turn over, and they'll be ready to roll. Okay, all right, so thank you. We're going to be using those during our time for all ages today. Thank you.
On the white side because it's better.
Okay.
Thank you for braving the weather. Thank you for investing your time with us this morning. Thank you for those staying at home and making the effort to be here. Please join us now for a time of worship.
Our chalice lighting this morning is Let Us Make This Earth a Heaven by Reverend Tess Baumberger. Let us make this earth a heaven, right here, right now. Who knows what existences death will bring? Let us create a heaven here on earth, where love and truth and justice reign. Let us welcome all at our pearly gates, our freedom table. Amid singing and great rejoicing, black, white, yellow, red, and all our lovely colors. Straight, lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, questioning, cisgendered, transgendered, non-binary, gender non-conforming. Healthy, sick, hurting, variously abled, young, old, gentle, cranky, joyous, sorrowing. Let no one feel excluded. Let no one feel alone. May all have enough to meet their needs. May all share power generously. May all venerate the earth, our mother, and tend her with wisdom and compassion. May we make our earth an Eden, a paradise. May no one wish to leave her. May hate and violence and warfare cease to clash in causes too old and tired to name. Religion, nationalism, racism, the false god of gold, deep-rooted ethnic hatreds. May these all disperse and wane. May we see each other's true selves. May we all dwell together in peace and joy and understanding. Let us make a heaven here on earth before it is too late. Let us make this earth a heaven for each other's sake. Let us now rise and embody our spirit as we sing our opening hymn, Gather the Spirit, number 347 in the gray hymnal.
Gather
small crowd, but do I have any young folks or any other folks that would like to come get a little closer to the story this morning to help me out? All right. Good morning. We have somebody new here today, Hawthorne. What do you see here?
A dragon.
A dragon? Okay, you're right. This is a dragon, and her name is Ruby. Ruby, spelled R-U-U-B-Y. She's Ruby. Do we have any dragon experts here?
No, there's one.
I know there's one. Do you know much about dragons, Hawthorne?
No.
What do you know anything about dragons? What can you tell me?
That tumbleweed fire.
Okay.
And even if they're like curly and don't have the wings, they can still fly.
You knew more than I did. I did not know that wing bit. What else do people know about dragons?
They have a tail.
They have a
They
tail.
have a tail.
Okay, excellent. Any other ideas? Yeah.
They are fierce, but they're protectors.
Oh, they're protectors. Okay. Is there anything in particular they like to keep an eye on?
Oh, I was just going to say their eggs are very expensive.
Oh, well, I haven't tried to buy one. Maybe I should get a couple on my farm and I could sell them. All right. Well, I am not a dragon expert. And when I was talking to Walter about this service, he said to me as if I would know. He goes, because, what do dragons do with treasure? And I said,
I don't know.
guard it? And he looked a little disappointed. But he said, no, they hoard it. Do you know what it means to hoard something? Keep it all for yourself. They love treasure so much. They want to keep it all for themselves. So Ruby, Ruby has some treasure up here. Do you see that she's got some treasures, Hawthorne? Can you tell everyone what kind of treasure she's got at the moment?
Hershey Kisses and
Some red lifesavers.
some
Yeah, in case anybody can't have chocolate. So she's got quite a lot of treasure that she is guarding here, but it's never quite enough. And she heard that some folks in this room were actually writing down some treasures, and she kind of wanted to include them in her hoard. So, Hawthorne, would you mind being a treasure collector? Do I have any other volunteers to be a treasure collector? Day, thank you. All right, maybe one more, thank you. So your plate that you wrote your UU treasure on, they will be coming around to collect those. Bring them up here for Ruby because she cannot get enough treasure. I'll just be hanging out with the candy. Small but full of treasure group here.
We have a lot of treasures.
Thank you. All right.
A lot
Woo.
of treasures.
Look at all this treasure. Okay, Ruby wants it. Let me make some space for you, Ruby. Okay, Hawthorne, let's lay this treasure up here all around Ruby. I know, we're gonna have to make more space. Some of it might even spill onto the floor.
We'll be on the floor.
Do you think so? Well, let's just kind of pile it around her a little bit here,
Wait,
okay?
where's mine? I want to see. I want to see mine.
You want to see yours? You want to put it on top? Okay. Oh, is this yours, Hawthorne?
Yeah.
Yours is in the basket there. Whoa, she has got tons of treasure now.
Too much.
Which makes her very happy, right?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Find yours?
Awesome.
Ooh, nice list.
I wrote a lot.
You sure did. I can't wait to read all the treasures. Oh, perfect. Okay, that one will sit right there. That is perfect. All right. So she is happy. She's a happy dragon. She's got all this treasure to hoard. But I have a question. Is it very generous to keep all the treasure for yourself?
No.
Is it very generous for us to keep all of our treasure for ourselves?
No.
Do you have any advice for Ruby? If you were going to kind of like encourage Ruby to be to dig deep and be a better dragon, what might you tell her?
Give back some of it.
So she should share some treasure. Okay, I agree. Let's see if she's
Except the hat.
cool with that. Okay. She's open to the idea. She really wants to get better at being generous and sharing the things that she likes so much. So she is open to the idea. Great news. So she is going to now distribute some treasure. Why don't you give that to the front of that section? And this section, you can pass that around. Oh, in my brain, there were 3 sections. I don't know why. I sit up here and look every day, but we'll make it work because we do. Okay. We're going to share some of that treasure. And we'll be doing some other things with these treasures in the weeks to come. All right. Thank you. This is the time we will be singing the children to their classes. We have a really small group today. I do see we have a couple youth, so those folks can head to youth group. And I'm going to ask the 2 kiddos I think we see. I think I see Rika and Hawthorne. We're going to meet in the Triple E classroom today. We're going to have a group class in there today. Does that work for you, Dave? Okay. All right, so off we go. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hawthorne.
That is a lot of treasure that we have here. And I'm noticing love keeps popping up in all of those. Not surprised. I want you to join me right now in the spirit of meditation. And I want you to specifically look out that beautiful window. There is something hypnotic about the falling snow. To see the details of the branches come into stark contrast with the snow that lights on top of them. For those of you watching at home, I encourage you, look out your window. Take a minute. One of the most magical things about this kind of snow is it both quiets and brightens. The snow dampens sound. It causes a hush. It's encouraging us to maybe dampen some of those sounds that rush through our minds, the constant lists and worries and anxieties. That silence that we hear as the snow falls, stilling the rustling wind. Is it called breathe? And that brightness of the snow, that whiteness. Normally, if there is no snow and there's no green on the trees, and with the daylight being slowly creeping back into our lives, when that silent snow falls, it amplifies that little bit of light that nature provides for us. It reminds us to find the brightness and the beauty, and that there is still something to lift your spirits, even in the coldest of times. Winter invites us into stillness and reflection. And if you take the moment to breathe into it, there is a brightness calling to you. Embrace it. Breathe it in. Let it enter you. We gather each week in community, and many of us gathering online. Thank you again. And often we share things that are heavy on our hearts. I want to lift up, many of you know that Dave Drum, who is one of our founding members, has had a couple of falls of late and has been in, I cannot remember the name of the place he is in, but it's a place where he can get some additional recovery that is not his normal assisted living place. And I went to visit him, and it is boring as all get out. And if you know Dave Drum is the individual who needs a little spice in his life. If any of you are good friends or even modest friends with Dave Drum, I would invite you to give him a call and ask him when would be a good time to set up. I talked to him the other day, and he's like, I do not care for when people just pop in. I get that. But he could really use the company. And for those of you who don't know him very well, he is a hoot. Dave Drum is awesome. And I also encourage you to keep Sharon Delgadillo in her thoughts. She is recovering very well from her surgery. And knowing Sharon as we do, she thought she would be quicker to recover than she is because she had very high expectations of when she could recover. And Sharon, if you're watching, I am glad you are taking time to take care of yourself because that's what we are all here for. If there is something that is weighing on your mind, something that is heavy on your heart, as we sing Spirit of Life, I encourage you to come up to our altar and to place one of the stones in the water to represent what your struggles are. For that is what we do in community, is lift each other up and support each other in those times. If there is a joy, please, please, please share the joy. We need as much as we can. Sue Gross, part of our pastoral care team, is here. If you would like to set a time to meet with her, please let her know. You guys are already starting up. And if you want to meet with me, let me know. Please join us now as we sing Spirit of Life.
Our faith is centered on the belief that we can make this world a better place for all who dwell in it. In order to realize that vision, we need both the motivation and the means. Your donation helps the community put its faith into action by supporting our programming and facilities. This morning and throughout the month of February, donations that are not designated for another purpose will be split with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI. NAMI provides advocacy, education, support, and public awareness so that all individuals and families affected by mental illness can build better lives. The offering will now be collected and gratefully received. And for those who are, for those who are watching online, and who do not carry cash, you can donate on our website or by scanning the QR code in the order of service on the screen. Please join me in the unison reading. The words are on the screen. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others. Our reading this morning is from The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Dragons steal gold and jewels, you know, from men and elves and dwarves, whenever they can find them. And they guard their plunder as long as they live, which is particularly forever unless they are killed, and never enjoy a brass ring of it. Indeed, they hardly know a good bit of work from bad, though they usually have a good notion of the current market value. And they can't make a thing for themselves, not even mend a little loose scale of their armor. There were lots of dragons in the north in those days, and gold was probably getting scarce up there, with the dwarves flying south or getting killed, and all the general waste and destruction that dragons make going from bad to worse. There was a most specially greedy, strong, and wicked worm called Smog. One day, he flew up into the air and came south. From a good way off, we saw the dragon settle on our mountain in a spout of flame. Then he came down the slopes, and when he reached the woods, they all went up in fire. By that time, all the bells were ringing in Dale, and the warriors were arming. The dwarves rushed out of their great gate, but there was the dragon waiting for them. None escaped that way. The river rushed up in the steam, and a fog fell on Dale. And in the fog, the dragon came on them and destroyed most of the warriors. After that, there were no dwarves left, alive inside, and he took all their wealth for himself. Probably, for that is the dragon's way. He has piled it all up in a great heap far inside and sleeps on it for a bed. Later, he used to crawl out of the great gate and come by night to Dale and carry away people, especially maidens, to eat until Dale was ruined and all of the people dead or gone. What goes on there now, I don't know for certain, but I don't suppose anyone lives nearer to the mountain than a far edge of the long lake nowadays.
So it's not a secret that I'm a little bit of a fantasy nerd. My middle school years were fueled by late night Dungeons and Dragons role-playing sessions. I tore through books like the Dragonlance series by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. I read The Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey. In my 20s, I got through the Wheel of Time series, almost 15 books. That man needs an editor. And of course, devoured the Harry Potter books when they came out. More recently, I tore through the King Killer Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss, and I will say I even read most of the Game of Thrones books. I had to stop after the third one not because Martin was focused on the series, but I was just sick and tired of the bad guys always winning. If I wanted that, I could watch the news. But all of this started in 6th grade when my English teacher, Mrs. Lucht, may she rest in peace, made the entire class read The Hobbit by Tolkien, the originator of the fantasy genre. And this is why, when the stewardship team announced the theme was Treasure the UUFWC, my first thought was a heaping pile of gold and a large dragon sleeping on top of it, with a band of heroes carefully working to liberate all of that gold. And the more I thought about this congregation as treasure, the more I was able to draw parallels to the story of The Hobbit, which I think can give us some insight as to what it means to have such precious treasure. So to recap some things about The Hobbit by Tolkien. At the beginning, our titular character, Bilbo Baggins, is invaded by 12 dwarves, and he learns from Thorin Oakenshield the history of the dwarves. The dwarves, generations ago, with Thorin's great-great-grandfather, had built up a considerable treasure in what was called the Lonely Mountain. And it was an impressive amount of treasure, even by dwarf standards, built with years of hard work and dedication. The treasure of our congregation was built very much the same way. 1972, Lowell Steinbrenner puts an ad in the local paper looking for like-minded people with similar beliefs to discuss founding a Unitarian Universalist congregation in the area. 19 folks signed that charter, including David and Lynn Drum, Jean and Helen Myers, Joe Downs, Skip Letty Nault. And like the dwarves in The Hobbit, these individuals spent years building up this treasure. In 1991, UUFWC hired their first part-time minister, Mary, and I'm going to butcher the name pronunciation, Notavange Talene, maybe? I apologize to Reverend Mary. And the next year, they hired Reverend Barbara Cook as a quarter-time minister. By 1996, 5 years later, they moved this minister to a half-time position and hired somebody named Elaine Strawn. Some of you may have heard of her. And also in 1996, we got our first building, right, at Saybolt in Columbus, 1996. And then in 1999, we hired our first director of religious education, Georgia Jabe. 2005, about 10 years, not even 6 years later, we moved to this current location with 123 members. And in a 3-year span, we jumped to 170. And 3 years after that, we made the minister a full-time position. This congregation, in a relatively short amount of time, has built up quite the treasure. And what happens when you build up treasure? You have to be careful of the dragons. Be wary of Smaug. In the lore of The Hobbit, the great dragon Smaug comes down from the north and decimates the Lonely Mountain, laying waste to the nearby countryside, slaughtering the citizens of Dale, the nearby human colony, and Smaug takes up residence in the mountain, sitting atop of the treasure that others had built. and all he does is sleep upon his ill-gotten gains, laying atop it so often, so much, that the precious stones and jewels of that treasure embed themselves into the soft underbelly of smog, creating a sort of impenetrable armor. He wakes seldom, and only to poke his head out for food and sustenance, terrorizing the nearby human colony and then retreating to his lair once he is satiated. So the question is, with our metaphor, is do we have dragons in our midst? Tolkien uses smog as a metaphor in The Hobbit, and it very obviously represents greed, the need to hoard what is precious to us in order to preserve it. This is a theme he also comes up with again in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Smeagol, a hobbit, finds the one ring of true power, an item so powerful it will corrupt anyone it touches, no matter how pure of heart they are. And it turns Smeagol into Gollum, a wretched creature that is consumed by his love of power so much he spends his life in hiding, making sure no one can take it from him. And this idea of hoarding wealth, this is something that lives deep in humanity. This is part of the human condition. And we have seen it lately being taken to unprecedented levels. The 10 richest people in the world are worth over $2 trillion. There's a statistic, I believe it's 1% of the world owns about 40% of the world's wealth. But just think about $2 trillion. Imagine the work we could do. Do you know how long, if you spent, let's see if I got the calculations right, if you spent $100,000 a day, do you know how long it would take you to spend $2 trillion? 54 years. Think of what we could do with that. Think of what we could do with $2 trillion. Think of the work we could do with homelessness in this country. Think of the improvements we could make to the education system. Basic infrastructure. So much of the work that we could do for poverty, how we could bolster workers' rights, the minimum wage, a host of other issues. But instead, we have dragons in this world, using their wealth to prop themselves up, making it a layer of armor to protect them from the issues of the world around them, unaware of how their hoarding has decimated the land around them. How many of you are familiar with the term scarcity mentality? All right. It's the idea that you do not and that you will not have enough resources in order to do what you want to do. And it puts you in the mindset where you put your resources over your mission. And in nonprofits, this can lead to decisions made that focus on doing the bare minimum as opposed to living into mission. Now, there is a very real concern about having enough money to do the bare minimum, right? We live in a society where you need the money to do the stuff. That is part of it. And this applies to us as a nonprofit. We have staff that we have to pay equitably. We have a building to keep up. We have supplies. And if we focus solely on meeting our bare minimum, we will often fall short of mission. And dragons are the embodiment of scarcity mentality, doing the minimum I want to go back, talk about 2005. Right, remember what happened in 2005? This is where we got the building here. This is when we had that big growth spurt going from 123 to 170. We got this new building, and when we decided to build it, we didn't do the minimum. What did we do? We went deep into our values when it came to creating this building. We could have done the bare minimum, right? Put up some walls, skimp on construction, and just get it to the least that we needed in order to meet. But this congregation has people who have a value that they wanted to share: protecting the environment, wanting to leave this world a better place than when it started. So this congregation went big with its values. It was decided to make this building an environmental model, making it a LEED certified building. For those of you who don't know, LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And in order to be LEED certified, you need to do significant work to lower the carbon footprint of your building. And this congregation leaned hard into that work. It was the first LEED certified house of worship in the country. Think about that. Think about tiny little Worcester making a big impact like that. A national first. Did you get write-ups in the UU world about it? Yeah, you did. You got recognized for doing that work, for living and leading into your values. And what happened? Membership exploded. 50 people in 3 years. Because you lived your values out loud for everyone to see. You shared your treasure. So when we talk about what that treasure is, what is the treasure of UUFWC? Looking at that LEED certification as a point, it's very easy to say, well, obviously the treasure that we shared was our finances, was our money. That members decided to pay a little bit more than usual in order to get that LEED certification, in order to protect the environment. But I think the real treasure that is at the heart of this congregation is the values. It's the values that we live. When Lowell Steinbrenner put that ad in the paper in the 70s, he was looking for like-minded people with similar beliefs because he wanted to build a community that wasn't focused on the ideas that morality and goodness need to come from a supernatural being, that spirituality doesn't need to come from a source of fear, that instead we are interdependent upon each other, that we need each other to make this world a better place, that the world needs justice, equity, compassion, growth, education, and generosity. And in a little over 30 years, a group of 19 people built a community of scores of people centered on those values who were called to act upon them and to not just hoard them for themselves. We are living right now in a world that needs the treasure of our values more than ever. We are watching the values we cherish, the values we stand up and work for, being diminished by our leaders. We are seeing compassion supplanted with fear, and we are seeing dragons in control of the treasury. We are being called to live into our values, to share our treasure, to do the extra, to live a little bit more, just like we did in 2005. And there's a very real way that that might be happening. Some of you may have heard the whispers about getting additional solar panels for the congregation. Look at that, bright faces all around. Ooh, solar panels. Yeah. Our expansion increased the amount of energy we used, also increased the amount of very real estate we have to put solar panels on it. And the improvements to solar technology over the last 20 years could allow us to not only become, if not carbon net zero, to become self-sufficient with our electricity, to not have to worry about paying additional electricity over years, reduce our carbon footprint, save money, take care of the earth. We could conceivably be doing that in the next few years. And the very literal financial support that that will need will be one of the ways to live into your values. And that's real and that's necessary. And that's something I think we could all get behind. Because I think all of us are a little worried about what's going to be left of this planet once we shuffle off of it, we the current generation. And we also need other ways to show up for our local community. Lobbying City Hall for more affordable housing, partnering with the local NAACP as they do actions in the area, volunteering with Homeward Bound, working with local LGBTQ plus works, keeping the T in Stonewall, thank you very much. Well, many of us do a lot of that kind of work here in our own time. What would it look like if we did it as a congregation? And to do that kind of work means we need your treasure of your time, of your energy, of your ideas. We definitely need your ideas. We need folks to volunteer to lead some of these initiatives. We need folks to gather others, to listen to the ideas, to share those ideas, and to see what we could do as a group. And we need people who are just going to be there to say, I don't have an idea, but I'm going to yes and everything. And I'm going to support you. And I am going to show up. We need folks working together. At the end of The Hobbit, smog is defeated, and the dwarves get their treasure back, and what happens? Where are my Hobbit fans? All right, I am the fantasy geek in the room. The dwarves act like smog. The dwarves act like smog. They hoard the treasure for themselves, causing a bit of a problem. The humans in the local community and the elves are not too thrilled about this, and they want to liberate the treasure from the dwarves. The orcs hear about this as well, and they come over, and the eagles have to come in the middle of the battle to help. It is the war of the 5 armies, a bloodbath. And think of the lives that could have been spared. And I know if they're fictional lives. If the dwarves had just been generous, if the dwarves had said, you know what, the humans have been decimated in the land around us. What if we gave them some treasure to help rebuild their community? We have enough. What if they would have shared that as opposed to just holding it? Because isn't that what heroes are supposed to do with the treasure? Is liberate it to use it for good. That's what we need. We need heroes right now who are going to work to liberate the treasure. Whether it's the treasure you have where you can donate a little bit extra for stewardship this year, whether it's the treasure of your time wanting to come in and to help lead or be a part or support different groups. If you just want to come in and dedicate to making coffee every Sunday or every other Sunday, you have so much to give. You all are so good at being the hero. But remember, the treasure is the values that call us to this work more than anything else. May it be so. I sent out an email recently about stewardship, talking about literal stewards on boats, stewardship. and made me think about how we need to take care of our ship, our blue boat home. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, 1064, in the teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep. Drifting here with my ship's companions, all weekend and pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me. Hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me. Sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Yeah, you can clap. Sue does a great job. Sue's phenomenal. Thank you, Sue, for all that you do and providing us with the spiritual grounding that music brings. Thank you, Rachel, for subbing at the last minute when Gene was ill. He's got a little thing going on in here and would rather not spread it. So thank you, Gene, for hoarding that treasure. Thank you to all of you who have joined us online. If you're still watching and just going, no, they're doing a benediction, I know what to do, and I'm just turning this off. But for those of you who are still watching, thank you for taking care of yourself and joining us in the best way you could. It started, folks. The computer's in the lobby. It's time to make your pledge. It's time to share the treasure. And nobody likes to talk about money. Especially right now when it seems like our economy is not going in the best place. And This is the place where we need to invest in our values. This is the place that's doing active work to try to combat some of the things that are going. Do you know the UUA signed a form talking about how they disagree with what's going on in the government with other religious institutions? They're working on restoring democracy. Social Justice Committee, UUFWC. There is a lot of need right now for democracy. There is a need right now for kindness. There is a need right now in this world to live hard into our values. And if you can afford to give a little extra, please, please, please do. And if you can't, know that everyone here still values you and wants you here because you bring other gifts that we so desperately need. Share your treasure, folks. It is beautiful. It is golden. It is needed. You are a blessing. May it be so.